Oh yeah, what up? This is my TNA Turning Point 2008 pay-per-view predictions. Pay-per-view is going to be airing tonight exclusively on pay-per-view. And just to let you know, after I give my predictions for this pay-per-view and give my run-through of it, I'm going to go through and give my thoughts this past Monday night's Raw, the 800th edition of Raw, and the 3-hour episode, and give my thoughts on some recent WWE releases and other wrestling-related topics. Now, first off, let me get to my TNA Turning Point 2008 pay-per-view predictions. The first match is going to be an X Division 10-person seeding match, and this is going to be including stars in the X Division, whereas this is going to be an elimination-based style match where the first person that gets eliminated is the 10th seed, and the person that ends up winning the match is going to be the number 1 seed. And I'm obviously not going to go through and tell you who I think is going to be the 10th seed through the number 1 seed. People that are involved in this match are the Black Machismo Jay Lethal, Eric Young, Consequences Creed, Maple Leaf Muscle Petey Williams, Homicide, Jimmy Rave, the Guru Sanjay Dutt, and international stars Doug Williams, Hiroshi Tanahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and of CMLL fame, Voldar Jr. And I'm expecting this to be an incredible match. Pretty much the only people in here I would say are not really my favorites or not really fans of are pretty much Eric Young and Consequences Creed. Everyone else in this match are exceptional talents. Huge fan of Hiroshi Tanahashi, so I'm definitely glad to see him in this match. Doug Williams is a guy that don't necessarily get to see him as often as I would like to see him. Voldar Jr. is an excellent luchador from Mexico. You got Jay Lethal in here, Petey Williams, Sanjay Dutt. This should be a very enjoyable match. Obviously, this will be the opener of the pay-per-view, and hopefully TNA gives this match enough time. That's the only thing that could possibly hurt this match is depending on how much time they get it. If this is like the Victory Road, the match they had as the opener for Victory Road, with Team World versus Team TNA, with Team Japan involved in it as well. If it's like that and gives about 25 to 30 minutes, possibly even 35 minutes, this could be a great opener. Definitely a good way to start the pay-per-view off. And I definitely see within this match, I see Consequences Creed becoming the number 1 ranked X Division competitor due to the fact that Jay Lethal, he just won a number 1 contender shot at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and he already had his title shot, so I feel TNA's going to at least do something different, and obviously they're going to go in the route of Consequences Creed versus Sheik Abdul-Bashir in the typical America versus anti-American storyline, which I don't understand why TNA or especially WWE or any organization still tries to do this America versus anti-America gimmick. I get why they're doing it, after the 9/11 attacks and their war that's still going on in Iraq. I understand that, doing an anti-American gimmick will garner one wrestler heel heat, but it's not really heel heat in the sense, it's just pretty much cheap heat. But, a lot of wrestlers say at least it's heat anyway, but it doesn't get over to the level as it did back in the 70s and 80s. And, companies just need to get in their heads that stuff like these type of storylines aren't going to work in this day and age of wrestling. Then the next matchup is going to be Amazing Kong and Raisha Saeed versus Taylor Wilde and Roxy in a TNA Knockouts tag team match. This is pretty much going to be the cool-down match, or if this is not the cool-down match for the opener, the next match will be basically matches that are cooling down the audience after, an incredible opener. And I see Roxy and Taylor Wilde picking up the victory in here, leading to a Amazing Kong versus Roxy TNA Knockouts title match at the Final Resolution pay-per-view coming up in December, and Roxy will probably end up winning the TNA Knockouts title at that pay-per-view. That's if TNA goes in that route, and that's the match for next month's pay-per-view. Then the next matchup is Rhino versus Sheik Abdul-Bashir, and this is pretty much, it's just going to be a typical grudge match between these two. Pretty much a thrown-together match. I know they've been building it up on Impact, but still it's kind of a little thrown-together match. And the one thing that I don't understand in here, I know Rhino isn't like an X Division competitor, but it doesn't make sense when you got Sheik Abdul-Bashir, or a.k.a. Davari, the X Division champion in a match, not defending the title at a pay-per-view. I get it, you don't want Rhino to be in the X Division ranks, but wasn't the X Division or isn't the X Division still about that no limits, no weight classes in the X Division, no typical style of wrestling? At least that's the selling point of it, even though pretty much it's always been, wrestlers fast-paced, high-flying, and maybe a little spotty that some people would call as far as being X Division type wrestlers. But I think, it would at least add to the dynamic of this match if the X Division title is on the line. Not saying I'll be happy to see Rhino hold the X Division title, but something like, a wrestler that's outside the X Division holding on to the X Division title maybe for a month or two will be something interesting to see. That's the reason why, TNA kind of needs a mid-card title. I know they got the Legends title right now, but that's pretty much used, I guess, in the sense of, past WWE and past WCW stars, especially, you got Booker T holding it. It's not, as far as TV-wise, it's not a TNA title that they actually officially endorse. It's just, the title that Booker T claims he owns. So they kind of need a mid-card title because guys like Hernandez, say if they end up breaking LAX up, which, back and forth the rumors keep saying that they might or might not break them. Hopefully they don't. But, guys like Rhino, guys like Kip James or Hernandez or any of these guys, kind of need that type of title or something to go with, guys like Matt Morgan or Abyss. It makes them almost their career in TNA kind of seem pointless because they're not good enough to go for the world title, and they're kind of not the type of wrestler you would say, hey, let's throw them in the X Division. But it would be kind of interesting to see if they would have done that. But nonetheless, I see Sheikh Abdul-Bashir winning this match, probably some cheap tactic. Rhino goes for a gore into the turnbuckle, and then Sheikh Abdul-Bashir rolls him up and holds on to the tights. Probably be a decent match at best. Then the next matchup is going to be for the TNA World Tag Team titles. It's going to be Beer Money Incorporated, James Storm and Robert Roode versus the Motor City Machine Guns and Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. And this could be a good overall tag match. This is pretty much, in my opinion, looks like it's going to be at least an average to good overall tag match. These two teams might work better than what I'm expecting. I would like to see the Motor City Machine Guns hold on to the TNA tag titles, but don't see it happening. I see Beer Money Incorporated some way or another. They'll retain the tag team titles. But then, since they already got Abyss and Matt Morgan built in as the #1 contenders and are going to get a future TNA tag team title shot, that's who probably will take them on at the next pay-per-view. And unfortunately, I could see a team of Abyss and Matt Morgan defeating Beer Money Incorporated, which wouldn't make any sense, having the tag team champions that have been pretty much established to be actually a good overall team and a good credible team in TNA, and then lose them to a team that's just been thrown together, even though they're trying to build them up as a tag team. But they'll go the route of Matt Morgan and Abyss be champions for a little bit, they'll turn on each other, and then they'll probably be embroiled in probably a 2 to 3 month feud, and which no one will care about seeing at all. So like I said, I see Beer Money Incorporated some way or another retaining the TNA Tag Team titles. Then the next matchup is going to be the Falls Count Anywhere match between Kurt Angle versus Abyss. And this is pretty much just going to be probably an average match between these two. This is probably going to be a match that you would most likely say it would be a good TV match, but not a pay-per-view match. They'll probably have at least a good overall match between each other, but nothing great. Especially with the stipulation of Falls Count Anywhere, expect Abyss to take some sick bump or some sick spot to end this match, whether it's something off the stage, something through a flaming table again, something outside the arena. Abyss will probably take some sick fall at the end of this match, and Kurt Angle will be the victor in this match. Then the next matchup is for the Legends title with Legends champion Booker T versus Christian Cage. And the other thing that's thrown in this match as far as a stipulation that if Christian Cage isn't able to defeat Booker T for the Legends title, Christian Cage then has to join the Main Event Mafia, which I feel that's the route they will go in. They'll probably have either Kevin Nash, possibly Kurt Angle, or Scott Steiner come out here, interfere on Booker T's behalf, and have Christian Cage lose this match and join the Main Event Mafia against his will. Then they'll probably do something where it looks like he's with the young guys, but at one point or another, they might even do it at the end of this pay-per-view, or they might wait to build it up a little bit and showcase what side he's going to be on. But they could possibly do that, heel turn of Christian Cage at this pay-per-view and, officially joining the Main Event Mafia and showing all along he's been on their side, because I feel that's probably most likely the route they'll go, and Christian Cage will win this match, and then I feel, before I get into which way I feel they'll go in that direction as far as him as Legends Champion, let me get to the main event until I get to that portion. Then the next matchup is Samoa Joe versus Kevin Nash, which this could be at least a watchable match. I don't think anyone wants to see Kevin Nash in the ring, but if you do get him in the ring, make it a short and sweet match. Give it 10 to 12 minutes at the longest. Have Samoa Joe go over. Have him go over cleanly, because I don't think anyone wants to see Samoa Joe lose to Kevin Nash, and make this, like I said, as short as possible. Make it at least seem like it's a match worthy of being on the pay-per-view, not just a very, very short match that could have just been on an Impact broadcast. Make it kind of feel like it's at least a pay-per-view match, but not a match I don't think anyone really cares about seeing, and it's a complete joke of TNA considering this being called a double main event, because I don't think anyone cares about this. As far as the storyline standpoint, I guess I understand why they're calling it a double main event, because pretty much this has been built up since last year's Turning Point, which last year's Turning Point wasn't in the month of November, it was in the month of December, so it's been built up for at least 11 months, and they've even teased, Joe and Kevin Nash feuding before then, so it's been built up enough, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Samoa Joe will pick up the win in this match, make it short as possible, hopefully. Then the main event is going to be AJ Styles versus Sting for the TNA World Heavyweight title, and I feel that AJ Styles will not get the victory in this match. The way I see this happening is you'll see, a few ref bumps in this match. You'll see the veterans and the young guys come out here both battling back and forth. You'll see the veterans help Sting retain the title by, I feel if they go the route of Christian turning heel and going full-fledged heel and showing that he's always been with the Main Event Mafia, they could go the route of Christian Cage coming out there. The veterans are beating down the young guys. It looks like Christian Cage is coming out there to help the young guys. He turns on them, hits AJ Styles with a steel chair, then Sting hits him with a death drop, and then puts him in the Scorpion Deathlock for the victory. AJ Styles doesn't tap out. He passes out with the ref raising his hand for the 1, 2, 3, and Sting retains the title. They can go that route or just have some type of interference or some type of way that causes AJ Styles to lose this match. Obviously, they're not going to go on the route of AJ Styles losing this match cleanly. That's the one thing they got to do is AJ can't lose to Sting cleanly. That would look idiotic if they go that route. And, I feel they'll probably have Sting hold on to this title, at least for this time, for storyline development with the young guys versus the Main Event Mafia storyline. They'll have to at least have him hold the title for at least some amount of time, possibly till February or March. I know I'm not that big of a fan of him holding the title for that long, but, as far as the storyline, if they want this Main Event Mafia versus Young Guys storyline to work out, it's going to have to do that. He's going to have to hold the title for that long, and then, down the line at that point, I'll see, a possible Christian Cage versus AJ Styles feud. AJ Styles will be the Legends Champion for, a little bit. Then he'll end up winning the TNA World Heavyweight title by defeating Sting. And that's the way they'll probably make it go full circle, and help out the one of the young guys finally actually beat Sting, and it will really help them out, and it definitely would help AJ Styles' career out, especially since as far as the whole Impact era on Spike TV, he hasn't even held the world title at all. Even during the Fox Sports Net era, he wasn't a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It wasn't since the weekly pay-per-views of May of 2005 that he was, well, not the weekly pay. Well, actually, yeah, he was champion for a little bit, I think, on the Fox Sports Net era, but not that much though. It hasn't been. It's been a couple years since he's been World Heavyweight Champion. So that's my predictions of the TNA Turning Point pay-per-view that's going to be airing later on tonight. And another thing I'll throw out before I get into other thoughts is I'll probably end up doing a Q&A either Tuesday or Wednesday. So if any of you got any more questions you want to send in, I'll add them into it. Just either send it through a message or a comment on my channel. It could be wrestling related, non-wrestling, whether it's sports or music. It could be any type of questions you would want to ask. And now let me get to some news thoughts I want to get on to. Thoughts on Raw from this past Monday. Now let me get to the one news topic I want to cover, which is Low-Ki apparently worked a dark match this past Tuesday at the SmackDown taping. against Primo Colón, taking the defeat to Primo Colón. And the night before, he had a tryout match with WWE. It wasn't a dark match. It wasn't in front of the crowd in attendance, but he did get a tryout match. And apparently, not sure if it's Kevin Kelly or Kevin Dunn, but I remember one of them is very high on Low Key, aka some of you TNA fans will know him as Senshi. And definitely he's been very high on Low Key and been wanting Low Key to work for WWE for a long time. Low Key has done dark matches in the past for WWE, even back in the day when WWE had their syndicated kind of WWE Superstar show in either 2001 or 2002 called Full Metal Jacked or WWF Jacked. It was one of those names, and one of his main matches that he had that is memorable, I think either on there or the Sunday Night Heat, he had a televised dark match that aired on, Sunday Night Heat against Christian Cage. So I would like to see Low Key in WWE, but I don't know how he would work in WWE because firstly, you got to look at him due to his size. If WWE would want to push him, they'll push him probably in the role. If they want to push him in the heavyweight role, they'll book him as an underdog like CM Punk or Rey Mysterio, and I don't think it would make him look credible at all. Then, you got to think he's not that good on the mic, so unless they want him to be one of those wrestlers to say, I'm going to just do my speaking in the ring, then they'll have to have him have some type of manager. And another thing is his in-ring work is very, very stiff, especially for WWE standards, so he would have to tone that down a little. But it'd be interesting to see if WWE would be interested in him, especially now with Gabe Sapolsky being gone from Ring of Honor, and basically that'd be the reason why Low Key hasn't worked in Ring of Honor the last couple of years. I could possibly see a Low Key return in Ring of Honor if WWE doesn't sign him at some point. But Low Key, is one of those guys that kind of has an ego to him and kind of feels he's better than everyone. So he's caused, a lot of heat backstage, especially with a lot of guys in TNA, and especially as far as office, as far as the office goes with Ring of Honor and TNA, and I think even other organizations, independent organizations. So he has to probably change that up and not do that in WWE if he wants to obviously keep his job. Then as far as my thoughts on this past Monday, obviously the biggest thing coming out there is Batista's title reign got cut short after just 8 days in a steel cage match against Chris Jericho. Definitely got Chris Jericho's champion again, but it's completely pointless that Chris Jericho lost the title to Batista, and he only lost it. Batista only lost it for he kept the title for 8 days. Very pointless title reign. The title on Raw is very, very non-prestigious at all. You had CM Punk have a joke of a 2.5-month title reign that pretty much his only accomplishment that he had was defeating JBL at SummerSlam. Then, Chris Jericho's only accomplishment was defeating Shawn Michaels in a ladder match. The Batista only kept it for 8 days. Then most likely with Chris Jericho and John Cena taking on each other at Survivor Series, you're going to expect another very short title reign. So obviously if John Cena defeats Chris Jericho at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, which I do expect is going to happen, you'll probably see John Cena hold on to that title for a long time. So I know a lot of people are going to hate that. I actually would not have a problem with it. I would actually say that, I would let him keep it from Survivor Series possibly all the way till after Backlash, even maybe all the way until SummerSlam to have that title gain its prestige back. Because you're going to have some type of long title runs to gain the prestige back in that title after, all these joke title runs the Raw WWE title has been having. And obviously the other big thing that happened on the 800th episode of Monday Night Raw from this past Monday was that Mike Adamle is off the TV now. Now, he is probably still under contract with WWE because his contract, I think he signed a 1-year deal, and that's not up until either the beginning or end of January. So he's there officially with the company still, but he's off of TV now. This pretty much comes from that Mike Adamle and WWE and creative in general didn't think he was good enough or well suited for TV and have, finally noticed that. So he's off of TV, which is a good thing, and it's probably going to lead with, obviously, the way they've been building it up this past Monday. Obviously, some power struggle between Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon, which will eventually have the probably TV return of Vince McMahon on WWE TV, probably, within the next couple of months. Then the other news topic, let me see what I want to get into, is obviously, the WWE releases of this past week of Super Crazy, Chuck Palumbo, and Paul London. Now, none of these releases shocked me at all. Just wanted to get my thoughts on them. Super crazy. He's been with WWE a whole lot longer than I thought that WWE would actually kept him under contract. Chuck Palumbo, basically, I could say good riddance to him. He never has amounted to anything in the wrestling business at all. I don't think anyone's going to miss him, and hopefully TNA do not sign him. Now, Super Crazy, on the other hand, I wouldn't mind seeing TNA sign him. I think he could possibly work good in the X division. It would definitely be, some name talent from, the ECW's past, and he has been with WWE for a while that casual fans will know him. So I wouldn't necessarily mind him signing with TNA, but I would say pass on Super Crazy and Chuck Palumbo, but I would understand Super Crazy at least. But Paul London is the other person I would say WWE really dropped the ball with. He's definitely one of the most underrated wrestlers that's ever wrestled in WWE, or probably ever wrestled in general. Him or Jerry Lynn, you would probably say, is probably the most underrated wrestlers of all time, or at least in past 2000, you would say, are probably the most underrated wrestlers, from 2000 and up, or I would say maybe 98 and up, obviously, with Jerry Lynn wrestling long before and being a veteran for so long. But Paul London is one guy I would love to see back in Ring of Honor. Hopefully that if he doesn't sign with TNA, which TNA definitely needs to call him and sign him as quick as possible. If TNA doesn't sign him, like I said, I would love to see him back in Ring of Honor. He was recently backstage at the PWG Battle Los Angeles 2008 tournament, which low-key actually won, and Paul London was backstage there, so possibly maybe he'll do some PWG dates, maybe some indie dates, and maybe work in Ring of Honor then, down the line, maybe go to TNA, because I definitely would love to see him there in the X Division. Not only that, I would love to see him in a feud with Samoa Joe. Love to see TNA finally bring Christopher Daniels back as Christopher Daniels, not the Curry Man, and them two could have excellent matches with each other, and especially him and AJ Styles. So definitely, as far as those three, no shocker they were released, but if I was Ring of Honor or TNA, I would definitely try to sign Paul London. Super Crazy is one of those guys that if TNA wants to sign, go ahead and sign. I won't really have a problem with it, but Chuck Palumbo, TNA, please do not sign him. So that's just my thoughts of not my thoughts, but that's my predictions of the TNA Turning Point pay-per-view that's going to be airing tonight. And like I said, send any questions for a Q&A that I'll probably do either Tuesday or Wednesday. And probably I will have my TNA Turning Point 2008 review. I'll have it up either late tonight or sometime tomorrow, probably tomorrow evening. But most likely I probably will have it up tonight. And yeah, that's it. Peace.